Hey guys, we'll be doing a quick segment, fishing attempt on a storm deck I've been working on again as I'm jumping back into MTGO and Magic the Gathering. It's in the 100-card Singleton format, so for new viewers or viewers who are uninitiated to 100-card Singleton, it is essentially 1v1 Commander without a Commander, it is a sideboarded format, but otherwise is fairly similar to German Highlander and Canadian Highlander, excepting that it has a ban list on a point system such as Canadian Highlander. So, I'm going to be testing this Storm deck. I actually had some gameplay from today. I was fairly disappointed, though, because MTGO, despite being away, has not fixed their replays so that named cards, or cards that require names to be inputted, break replays. So, we're playing 100-card Storm. This is like a 29 or 30 land deck, so it runs very few lands for the amount of spells in it. And this is actually not a bad opener. It is hoping with the first couple cantrips it has to hit into a land, but I think this is a keep. Obviously, there we go. When you play as a fishing attempt, you get a draw on your first turn, which is kind of silly. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Tendrils of Agony is in my graveyard, which means that I'm going to need to use the Entomb to probably get... I'm going to either need to draw into Yawgmoth's Will, Time Twister or Time Spiral the deck back together to get Tendrils back in my deck, or use the Entomb to get Past in Flames to do this. I do think at this point I probably would, because I drew into the Gitaxian Probe, look at my opponent's hand. If I had discard, I may wait on that, but I would do it here just to get further into the deck, because I really want to develop my mana draws over time. Here, I think this is a pretty easy play. I ended up going for an Underground Sea. Yes, it keeps me off red for the Goblin Electromancer, but I think it's more important... Oop, did I get Dark Confident down on turn 2? Or I would be getting Dark Confident down on turn 2 to get a couple draw steps off of them. Well, there's the Past in Flames, so we no longer need to entomb that. Unfortunately, we cannot cast out an Electromancer this turn. We can Snapcaster cast the Gitaxian Probe, or we could probably do is just go for a Mental Note here, see what we get. We get a Peak. We could also entomb here if we would want to. I don't know if that's correct yet. I think it would be really a toss depending on matchup. I would rather entomb. In this case, yeah, I may have wanted to. I really need a red source at this point because now the mana is starting to get a little hinky. Oop, we're still in the draw step. So what I ended up doing here is just going for a strategic planning. Yep, I'm casting it like I have a goblin in play. Wow, this is close because I really want the land, but I really also want that Lion's Eye Diamond. But I think I end up going with the Arid Mesa. The Lion's Eye Diamond is very nice with the Past in Flames. But we did find our red mana fix. We're going to go ahead and get the red mana here, cast out the Goblin Electromancer. And at this point we would say go. I would attack for our 2. We're obviously at 11 life, doing plenty of damage to ourselves here. Nightgate Familiar is not an unwelcome sight either. So, can we do it all this turn? The issue here is going to be mana. Unfortunately, we found Lion's Eye Diamond and Lotus Petal, which obviously work a lot better with Yawgmoth's Will. So, I don't think we can actually do it all this turn. However, I think it makes sense to get the Nightscape into play. We would do, and I'm obviously playing these all mana, I would be playing on my opponent's end steps. We can cast out a Factor Fiction here for 2 mana. Well, there is the Will. My guess would be my opponent would stack it something like this. And I would probably take the Will, because, I mean, Will just allows me to do everything else in there. And also on their end step, I would cast out a Forbidden Alchemy. Here I'd probably take Dark Ritual so I can get 2 cast off of it while casting the Yawgmoth's Will. And it looks like we're pretty well set up to get like a turn 5 kill here, which is not exceedingly fast. We kind of were slow on the mana uptake here. But here, Dark Ritual, probably tap a couple of lands just to make some mana, some random mana. Obviously, while fishing, I don't need this card. Blue is actually going to be the biggest constraint, so I think it makes sense to get rid of the Ideas Unbound. Untap our 2 lands here. Well, we can cast out a Rain of Filth because we probably would regardless. We've already played our land card this turn, which means that we're a little more limited if we were to get into a High Tide turn, which High Tide is currently not available to us. It is with Diabolic Intent. Basically anything is. mean, this would be cast down as well. Just get that thing going. What does Snapcaster do for us right now if we cast it prior to... Oh, I know what it does. It gives more spell count. Do we have to do that, though? Not really. I mean, we don't have to cast Snapcaster. We can Entomb, if we want to, get the High Tide, I suppose. I guess it kind of makes sense to get High Tide here. So what we can do is cast this... Cast High Tide, make blue mana with both of these, cast out the Candelabra. Red is not going to be a constraint here. Untap these lands because they net us mana here. Might as well make another red, because it's going to be more of a constraint, I suppose, at this point. More black. We already have an active Rain of Filth. We're at Storm Count 8. As you can see, with Tendrils in the graveyard, we have a kill right now if we were actually facing a real opponent. If you cast on yourself in MTGO while you're fishing, you're just going to have it do nothing. But we could basically cast the whole deck. And at this point, if we want to find alternate win cons, they're in the deck. So, I mean, if we really wanted to find it, we could... We're at Storm Count 9. Our Storm Count can get inordinately high here, just ridiculously high if we wanted to. But we could cast Diabolic Intent. Oh, we still have a land drop this turn. Forgot about that. We still have Diabolic Intent. We could end up finding Brain Freeze, or what would actually probably be easier than that, because that just requires a very high storm count, is just to get it high enough that we could Diabolic Intent to find Mind's Desire, which is also in the deck. Just to get it ridiculously high. But we can, sure, we'll cast this for 1 mana. Yeah, the card that probably makes the most sense is Thirst or Search. I'm not going to play Doomsday in this game. I suppose I could. We probably don't need Past in Flames. They're going to go to the Exiled Zone, because we do have an active Will. We can cast this. Cloud of Fairies is actually pretty welcome. I don't mind either of these cards, actually. These are both good. Put both on top. Oh, we have a Chain of Vapor, too. Well, that's pretty disgusting. We can just Chain of Vapor our own Candelabra. Do I need to return anything else? No. But we can cast this out. We'll use our blue mana here because we have just such large amounts of it. I don't need to untap the Urborg here, but I'm just doing it for speed purposes. It doesn't really net any mana here. Now we have a boatload of mana again. Yeah, sure, we can cast this out. If we want to get into those cards, we can. So, Cloud of Fae, cast. I mean, as you can see, the storm count is just rising. What I'm doing here is I'm going to go for the alternate win con, just to kind of show some of the other stuff the deck can do. It is a little bit masturbatory. I like to think of it as introverted. But yeah, so here. We don't really need Snapcaster anymore. We don't need this. Yeah, we'll get rid of these. We're obviously going to untap islands of some variety. Probably would have been more intelligent to untap the Underground Sea, because my constraints would be on black mana, not on blue mana. But I do also still have an active Rain of Filth if I desire to use it. And right now I'm trying to get the storm count to a little bit higher, because I'm at 46 cards in deck. I might as well just cast this. Well, there's the Brain Freeze. So unfortunately I have to put that in hand. So we may be actually, because Brain Freeze is the alternate win con, we may be just going for the straight Brain Freeze kill, which is certainly viable. Alright, that's not a good draw. We can go ahead and Merchant Scroll here. We can find Turnabout. Turnabout gives us a lot more time and mana. So we can really just get through the deck. Yeah, untap the lands. It's obviously gone, because I'm on an active will right now. Anytime I use a card, I'm going to be losing it. So I believe that I have these 23 exiled. I want to make sure High Tide is exiled, alright, because I shouldn't be tapping these if High Tide is not exiled. I'm going to start adding black with these, just because it just makes more sense. Yeah, I guess I'll just cast Entomb to get rid of a worthless card. What is a worthless card? Probably just an island at this point, because I'm not planning on taking another turn. We can Mental Note. Mental Note is sort of dangerous. Actually, no, it's not at this point, because I don't need... Alright, there's Time Spiral. That I get rid of... So I kind of actually do want to show, like, how you... I'm just making sure we didn't lose it. How you can use I keep on saying mind over matter, Mind's Desire, to win with this deck. So what we're going to do, because we still have the Diabolic Intent, is we can actually untap our lands again. Now we're going to get rid of the Tendrils, but we obviously already had that win con, like I was saying. I mean, so not a huge deal. I can use the red mana, and I'll probably just continue to use blue mana here. Untap all 6 of our lands. Drew into... Yeah, we have enough to win here. So this is 6, I believe. Oh, nope, didn't untap the Urborg. I think we can brainstorm first and just get rid of the land cards. Then we can see beyond. We're really just wasting cards right now. Do this, draw a bunch of cards. Infernal Tutor is worthless. We can just get an island out of the deck. We obviously have Dark Petition, which is good. Might as well cast Baral. I don't think it's going to make much cheaper. I think maybe it makes Mystical Teachings cost 1 mana. There's Mind's Desire and Brain Freeze. But I do want to get... So my Storm Count's 33. So Brain Freeze is somewhere in the bottom 3 cards in my deck. So I'm trying to get to those. I cast Infernal Tutor to shuffle it up. Yep, Island, sure. Yep, there's an island left. That shuffles my deck up. I can go ahead and Mystical Teaching. I have a lot of ways to shuffle my deck, obviously, right now. Snap. Makes more mana, I suppose. Am I short on mana? Not horribly so. Everything's getting exiled, so Snapcaster is no use anymore that way. Actually, you know what I can do is get Snap and just make a boatload of mana with the fairies. So Snap the fairies, untap these 2 lands, replay the fairies. Yup. And we still have the Mind's Desire. I mean, I could Time Twister to get. I'm down to 41 cards. Might as well Dark Petition. Just in case it is one of the last few cards in my deck. Brain Freeze, that is. We could Factor Fiction. Or we could just get any random thing, right? Like Sleight of Hand's fine, whatever. Doesn't really matter that much. Alright, we'll take the Scalding Tarn, because mostly just lands are going to be left. So we're at a Storm Count 39. This is actually 40. The Mind's Desire is going to be 40. So this is going to flip our whole deck on its head. Turn 5 here. Oh, there's the Tendrils again. I mean, we're going to see every single card that is still left in our deck, obviously. But what I'm trying to do here is show that there was a Tendrils win con that was significantly easier than this. There was a Brain Freeze kill that we could have done a lot earlier when we found it. But I kind of wanted to show, all the modes. So we got to all the modes here in this playthrough. And, if you enjoy combination-style decks, hopefully you enjoy this. If you don't, well, this is probably miserable to watch, and you probably should have turned it off a long time ago. But anyways, yeah, we're just waiting to get to Brain Freeze here. We would cast Brain Freeze on our opponent and then force a draw out of them and make them lose. Basically mill their 100 card or their 80 some odd card deck, after 5 turns of development. So that is how this deck works. We're, Mind's Desiring down to -1 cards, although Mind's Desire does not draw cards for you, so it's not going to mill me, per se. At one point in time, I did run Labman as a legitimate win con in this deck. This is a Brain Freeze for like a bazillion cards, 41 times 3, whatever that is. Some would say 123, but more than enough to win the game. So that is Storm. Actually, if you want, we could even kill our opponent if we still have the card in our deck. We may not. Did Quicken go away? I said we could kill them in response. No, Quicken's gone. We killed them in response with Tendrils if we really wanted to. Just cast it, then cast Tendrils. But anyways, this is a 100-card Singleton Storm. It's actually a very cool deck. Now, keep in mind that we did not play through Disruption in this game. I've had as fast as turn 3 kills, in a disrupted game. That's obviously with a slightly better draw than the one we started out with and kind of what we molded there. And I do think there were lines in this game. I took more conservative lines in this game. And then obviously I went through, 3 separate ways we could have won. One, the easy way with just Tendrils. 2, the second way we found the Brain Freeze we could have won at that point in time. And then the third way, which is Mind's Desire to get into either of those 2 Storm win cons to win the game. And sometimes you just cast Mind's Desire to get a bunch of value. Because it is kind of a draw 7 in a Storm deck. But very, very fun Storm deck to play because it plays a little bit differently each time. So unlike, Paradoxical Outcome Storm, Legacy Storm, even like Modern Storm, which tend to have fairly, not 100% linear lines. Like, you play differently in different matchups, but typically speaking, like, your strategies depending on matchup are generally pretty set. Whereas the inherent variance of 100 card, I think, tends to make a deck like this it's a lot more fun for me. For some folks, it is not, but I tend to think it's a lot more fun, just because there's a lot more challenge in playing it. Now, keep in mind, if you're a German Highlander or Canadian Highlander player, this is probably not an optimal list, because this deck, while it does have some disruption in the form of discard, does not have a ton of disruption. It is a sideboard. This is a sideboard. This is a deck that has a sideboard built for it, so it was intended to be played with a sideboard. So against like a heavy permission or heavy discard or very disruptive decks, it does have a sideboard plan. But keep in mind, it's fairly light. There's probably 2 to 3 cards, maybe 4 cards per any given match, because you don't want to dilute the overall power of an aggro combo deck like this. But pretty cool to see it work, I think, at least. And if you enjoy combination style decks, I hope you enjoy this as well. And I was kind of disappointed because I got to play this deck today. I thought I would make a fool of myself. I fortunately did not. I remembered how to play it. And I managed to go 2-0. But again, I was unable to get the live gameplay because MTGO doesn't like cards that require names in them. So, hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll probably put up another video tonight of a couple matches playing against Oath in the 100-card format. So, hope you guys enjoy it, and take care now.